Welcome. Today we're going to do a lesson over area and perimeter of parallelograms, triangles, and trapezoids. So while we get started here, you're going to get used to some of the things we're going to do with these videos. I want to make sure that you are writing this information in your notes. So make sure you have a notebook out and you're ready to go. All right, let's get started. So first of all, we have to know what the formulas are. You will always have access to the formulas during this unit, so it's good to have them in your notes so you can reference back to them in case you don't have a reference sheet with you at the time. So let's talk about the formula for area of a parallelogram. Okay, remember, parallelogram can take many different shapes. Okay, it can look like a rectangle. We've also seen parallelograms that kind of have that slant to them. Okay, but they all kind of have two parallel sides. That's a parallelogram. That's what it is. So the area of a parallelogram, we can write this in our notes. A equals base times height. And we'll talk about what base and height would be. Another way we might see this with a rectangle is length times width. So many of you know that formula as well. Okay, so make sure you write this slide in your notes. Very important. Okay, for the perimeter of a parallelogram, most of you will know that the perimeter, you would just add all of the sides. Now, if you have a rectangle, that will make things really easy. We can always use perimeter would equal 2L plus 2W. But if we just add all the sides, it'll be the same thing either way. So we're going to do some examples. I want you to, if I do an example, I always want you to make sure that you are doing the example with me. I will check that when you come up with your notes. And then if I ask you to do a problem on your own, make sure that you do that problem as well. All right, here's our first example. So we have area and perimeter on the two sides. So the area of this parallelogram is going to be, and I would always like you to write the formula down. Area equals base times height. So make sure you're writing this in your notes. Okay, then we're going to fill in what we know. So the base of this parallelogram is going to be found where we can lay the parallelogram down flat. So we would have the base is 9. And then the height is going to run from top to bottom. So as you can see, that 12 runs from top to bottom. Then we just multiply, and we have to make sure we label. So we are going to be multiplying 12 times 9, and we will get 108. And then area is a two-dimensional figure, or two-dimensional piece, so we would have centimeters squared. Now, the perimeter, we just want to add all our sides. So we have a 9 here, a 9 here, since this is 9 down here, and a 12 here, since this is 12. So we're going to add those all up. So we'd have 9 plus 9 plus 12 plus 12. So perimeter would be 18 plus 24, or 18 plus 24 is 42 centimeters. So normally I would have you try one on your own from here, but we're just going to continue moving on. I feel like this one's probably the easiest one, and many of you have done this before. If the bell rings during this at any point, just continue on. Don't worry about it. The bell could be ringing here any second. Formula for area of a triangle. So as I said, a lot of this is review, so we're going through this fairly quickly. But many of you know the formula for area of a triangle. Make sure to, of course, write this down in your notebook. I will be checking that. So area is equal to 1/2 base times height. You notice it's half of what the parallelogram is when we talked about that area. Okay, if you think about this, if we cut the parallelogram in half, we form two triangles. So that's where we get the area formula there. Then the perimeter, as always, is kind of just to add all sides. You have 3 sides to a triangle, So you add those up, you'll find the perimeter. So here we're going to go with an example together, and then I'm going to have you try one on your own. Okay, so as I said, excuse the bell here. The area of a triangle formula is area equals 1/2 base times height. So we write that down. We're going to fill in what we know. So the base, remember, is always where it can lay flat. So we're going to find that down at the bottom here. That's going to be 12. And then our height runs from top to bottom. It's obviously 5. Okay. 1/2 of 12. Okay. I know a lot of you struggle with some fraction pieces, but think of it that way, half of 12. Or you can always use the calculator, 0.5 times 12, but that would be 6 times 5, which would give us 30 inches squared. Okay, we wanted to find the perimeter, add all our sides, 12 plus 8 plus 8 would give us 20 plus 8, which would be 28 inches. And make sure to label. So please make sure you have this example in your notes. If you don't, if you need to take a second to pause the video, that's fine. After you've gotten that written down, I want you to go ahead and try this problem. Find the area and perimeter of this triangle on your own. Okay, we will move on here. Now we have trapezoids. Trapezoids tends to be a difficult one for students just because there's a lot involved in it, and there's also a fraction at times. I already have the area of the trapezoid written out here. Another way you may have seen it in the past is area equals 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. But as you can see, this is just another way to write that. Multiplying by 1/2 and dividing by 2 are the same thing. It deals with multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, so as you can see here, we're going to take base 1 and base 2. You see them labeled over here. And we're going to multiply that. We will add those two bases and then multiply that by the height of the parallelogram. And then eventually divide by 2 or multiply by 1/2. Same thing. Perimeter, no different than it's been. Just add all your sides. So we have an example of that so that you can write that down. Make sure to write this slide down as well. Alright, so the area here, since we've done the area first every time, 1/2 height times base 1 plus base 2. Or you can write it the way you saw it initially on the slide. So the height of the parallelogram, the trapezoid is going to be 9. It runs from top to bottom, as you can see here. The bases are going to be 14 and 22. Those are going to be where you can lay the trapezoid flat. There's always going to be 2 of those. From there, we're going to want to work through what we see. So 1/2 times 9. Since 9 isn't even, I'm going to hold off on that for a second. 14 plus 22 is going to be 36. From there, I can work with what I have. So since 36 is even, I might want to use that and divide by 2. So 36 divided by 2 is going to be 18. So I have 18 times 9 with what's left. And then when I finally multiply that, I get 162 inches squared. As you can see there, I kind of rearranged, but we can multiply in any order. If you have questions on that, pause it, ask me right now. With the perimeter, obviously we're just going to add all our sides, so we have 14 plus 22 plus 8 plus 18. And we're going to work from there. So add all of those up, and we would get 62 inches. Okay, make sure to label. Pause this if you need. Make sure you write this down. We'll be checking for this in your notes. The last example you have here, you're going to try on your own. to go ahead and pause the screen, find the area and the perimeter of this trapezoid. Realize you have it kind of turned around. Your bases may not be where you have seen them in the past. So just be careful there on where you put your bases. Check for where your height might be. Awesome, we have finished this lesson. Hopefully this is a lot of review. If you are done, make sure to come show your notes. Okay, and then we will give you your worksheet to start working on. Thank you.